How's it going, Guardians? Welcome to another Destiny 2 video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all my favorite Hunter endgame build. This is by far one of the best builds right now in Season of the Deep. Now, if you find any of the information in this video useful, you can go ahead and support me by getting this video to 20 likes. Now, without any further ado, let's jump right into the build. So a quick brief explanation of this build. This is the Hunter 1-2 punch build we're using with the Arc Strider subclass, as well as a tractor cannon and a 1-2 punch shotgun. Everything in this build synergizes together to output a great deal amount of melee damage, which allows us to pretty much delete everything with our melee. In the background footage, I'm running a Master Loss sector and I'm only using my melee. Now you can see how effective this is against the champions. I'm able to kill them with just 2 punches before they even get to pop their shields. Now whilst you're punching your way through everything, you're also generating a ton of orbs, allowing you to use your super more often. What also makes this build even more powerful is this season's Arc artifact perks, which I'll go over in a moment. I use this build my entire flawless Ghost of the Deep clear. It is super effective, so I'm going to be showing you all exactly what to equip and how to use this build effectively. So beginning with the build, you need to equip the Arc Strider Hunter subclass. For the class ability, equip the Gambler's Dodge, so you can recharge your melee ability when you dodge nearby an enemy. Now you're going to pair this with the Arc Melee combination blow. With every powered melee kill, you gain an increased melee damage buff up to a ×3 stack for a total of 20 seconds, and roll dodging near an enemy restores your melee charge, so you can stack this up really quick. For aspects, equip Lethal Current, so every time you dodge, your next melee has increased lunge, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. So when you're fully buffed and you roll dodge near an enemy, you restore your melee as well as increasing your next punch damage with Lethal Current. Now this buff lasts for 9 seconds and it stacks with combination blow, so you can really hit hard with just your melee. For the second aspect, I'm using Flow State, allowing me to get amplified every time I defeat a jolted target, and this is super easy for me since my melee jolts and defeats targets for me, simply allowing me to have a consistent uptime for amplified. And if you didn't know already, while you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly and you're more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. Moving over to the fragments, the first fragment we're equipping is Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. Since we roll dodge, our next melee hit jolts the target, we're going to get an ionic trace created on the ground which travels to us, giving us ability energy, which again is a huge bonus. So for the second fragment, we're using Spark of Feedback. Taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. Really useful fragment here because you are spending a lot of time up close to the enemy in close quarters, so it's really nice to get an increased damage to your melee if you get hit by whatever that's near you. Now for the third fragment, and by far my favorite and one that I never take off and I always use in all of my Arc builds, is the Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you're more resistant to incoming damage. Again, we're spending a lot of time in close quarters and most likely in situations where we're surrounded by enemies, so it's really nice to get that increased resistance buff. For the final fragment is the Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. A great grenade to pair this with is the Pulse Grenade, so any enemy that steps near the actual pulse, they're going to get jolted, and any of them that get jolted and get defeated, you're also going to get amplified. Now for the exotic, we're using the Assassin's Cowl Helmet. This is probably one of the best Hunter exotics endgame. On my helmet, I have equipped Dynamo, which reduces my super cooldown when using your class ability near targets. And the second I'm using is Hands-On. Gain bonus super energy on melee kills, which is pretty much all the time here. On your arms, you want to equip the Heavy-Handed mod, so your powered melee final blows create orbs of power. I also have Impact Induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. On my chest piece, I'm always rocking Concussive Dampener. Reduces incoming area of effect damage from combatants, so this is pretty much all kinds of splash damage, grenades, and all that kind of stuff. So I would always recommend equipping this for all kinds of activities. For the other 2 mod slots, equip either a melee resistance mod or 2 elemental resistance mods. For the leg armor mods, I'm using Absolution. Reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. The next one we have equipped here is Innovation. Reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. And the final and most important one that I have equipped on my legs, which I never take off, is recuperation, replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power. Since we are generating a ton of orbs, it's really nice to be able to get some health when you pick up an orb of power. I've had countless moments where recuperation has come in clutch and saved my life. Now moving on to the class item, the first mod we're going to use is distribution. This mod reduces our ability cooldowns by 3.5% every time you roll dodge near an enemy, and considering that we are always roll dodging with our build, this comes in really handy. Now for the second mod we're using is powerful attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. Moving on to the weapons, for my kinetic slot I'm using the Wastelander M5 shotgun with the perk Let From Gold and 1-2 punch. You can really use any shotgun here as long as you have the perk 1-2 punch. Now the final trick to this build is the tractor cannon. The tractor cannon applies a 30% debuff to all bosses and champions, so if used correctly with the right build, this can do a great deal amount of damage. So moving on to the artifact perks, and right now Arc has some great choices here this season. For the first Arc artifact perk I'm using is Thunderous Retort. This will buff your super damage whilst you're amplified, which is pretty much all of the time here. The second artifact perk I'm using is Amped Up. This perk simply allows you to be amplified for longer. Now you want to pair this with the perk Electric Armor, which it gives you increased resistance whilst you're amplified. Now keep in mind you're also getting that resistance buff from the Fragments Spark of Resistance, so pairing these two together this season makes you undefeatable on the Arc subclass. For my next perk I'm using Lightning Strikes Twice. This perk will simply increase your grenade recharge, allowing you to use it more often. For my final artifact perk I'm using is Shock and Awe. Arc Final Blows, while you're amplified, summon a burst of lightning that damages and jolts targets. Now pretty much again you're always amplified, so every kill that you get with your melee will summon this burst of lightning and it will jolt the target even more. And keep in mind you're also jolting targets with your lethal current. Finally, to the part where I show you how to use this build in activities. To begin, you want to stack up your combination blow to ×3, and to do this you want to punch and add to death, giving you combination blow ×1. Now to continue stacking up your combination blow, you need to recharge your powered melee, and you want to do this by simply using your class ability near an enemy. Now pretty much rinse and repeat this step until you have combination blow ×3. Now as you're generating orbs with your melee kills, you're collecting them with every roll dodge thanks to powerful attraction, and with just a single orb you're replenishing your health with recuperation, grenade cooldown reduction by 10% with innovation, and all class ability cooldowns reduction by 5% with absolution. Now keep in mind you're also getting health from every combination blow kill you get. You're also replenishing health as well as going invis with the exotic Assassin's Cowl. All of this is literally happening in the background as you're roll dodging and getting melee kills. When using this build, it's important to maintain your combination blow buff, so check your time on the side of your screen and refresh it if necessary. Now let's discuss how to use this build effectively against bosses and champions. Now the first thing I like to do is to stack up my combination blow to ×3 so I'm ready for the champion. Before approaching the champion, I like to get that one last ad kill and go invis with Assassin's Cowl. Once I'm buffed and invis, I go up to the champion and use my class ability to activate lethal current. I then line up and shoot the tractor cannon at the champion to apply that 30% debuff. I quickly switch over to my Wastelander M5, shoot the champion and proc 1-2 punch. Then finally followed by a punch with my combination blow, and if you wait literally a matter of like a split second, lethal current will finish off the champion for you. However, in higher tier content it will take you like maybe a second punch to finish the champion, as you see on screen. Anyway Guardians, I believe we've reached the conclusion of this video. This is definitely one of the best Arc Hunter builds in this season right now, with all of the artifact perks being so cracked as they are, so it's definitely worth for you to go out there and try this out for yourself. If you found any of the information in this video useful, you can go ahead and support me by getting this video to 20 likes. I'm currently also on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so if you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my future Destiny 2 content. Now anyway guys, have a wonderful day, and as always, peace out.